Alright, so welcome to Isaac Ikoro Crypto, and I'm Isaac Ikoro, and on this channel we talk about everything blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and how they affect our lives and the potentials, and we just share as much knowledge as we can. Alright, so in this video I really want to touch on the concept of guilds, gaming guilds, play to earn, and the African upside, which I believe the space, the industry is not paying attention to and has a massive potential not only to make a lot of money for the investors, but also to um, revolutionize the African economy and do a lot of good. All right, because that's what crypto is about, the decentralized nature of redistributing wealth, if you like. All right, so let's get into it. All right. So, first things first, what is a guild? What is a gaming guild? You know, with blockchain gaming, a whole new realm has opened up for gaming guild. So, I'll just give you like a very basic dummy explanation. So, a gaming guild is it's more like, I would say, an association, an organization where they buy NFTs for play to earn kind of games. So those NFTs are kind of high cost for people in low income areas. So they buy those NFTs and then rent it out to the players. So the players don't have to incur that upfront cost. And then you get to play the game, and the guild takes, say, 10, 20, whatever percentage that you guys decide from your winnings. So that way, a lot of people can you can onboard a lot of people into play to earn games without affecting the whole economic dynamics of the whole thing. So that's just the basic definition of a guild. One good example of a guild is the one that I think is from Indonesia, Yield Game Guild. They call YGG, and they've raised over $4 million in funding and lots of different amounts to do some very interesting things. Now, of course, we'll touch on some of the criticism that guilds have. And I was listening to someone on an interview with it's called Bryson. That's just the name I saw on what's the name of that guy? I don't know. But I was listening to an interview on one of those YouTube channels, and he had a few issues with guilds, and he's running a guild, but he sort of feels like guilds might not last. So we'll look at that. Then what is play to earn? What is play to earn? So I'm just doing these definitions in case maybe this is the first time you're hearing this, because the truth is I've listened to a lot of crypto people on YouTube, and they all say the same thing. When you go in the real world, which I don't know why we say that we're in the real world, but yeah, when you go out into out of crypto community, a lot of people don't know what all these things are. It sounds like gibberish, it sounds like fraud, it sounds like what the heck are you talking about? So I think we need to keep doing education, especially for me who's here in Nigeria and Africa. I can tell you education is a massive gap that needs to be filled, and we're doing our best. Alright, so what is play to earn? So play to earn is just basically a gaming model where you can earn from playing games. It's as simple as that. You can actually make money, a lot of money, depending on the economics of the game and how good you are at the game. You can make money from playing games. And we have seen this blow up with the popular game like Axie Infinity, which we're also going to be looking at and talking about a few things. So, like I said, I want to talk about guilds, play to earn, and the African upside. So, the African aspect of this is I'm going to be looking at, okay, what exactly can the concept of guilds and play to earn do to the entire blockchain gaming space vis-a-vis African economies. Alright, so let's do a quick dive into one thing that I've been doing a lot of research, traditional games. So first and foremost, there are over 2.7 billion gamers in the world. That's a lot. And the gaming industry has more more revenue than music and movies put together. That's massive. And all of this has been from a traditional model so far, where it's either your doing what I would call pay to play. So, for instance, you have a console, a PS5, an Xbox, and then you buy, say, GTA, the game, or you get yourself a what's this other game now? That's any of the shooter games. Anyway, Call of Duty, yeah. So you get any of those games and you play them. So you pay and you play, and all that there is you have a lot of fun, bragging rights. I remember when I was in Canada, I had this Indian friend. I knew these Indians. I didn't, were not really my friends, but I knew them. And for them, it was, oh, we finished this game, we've concluded this game, we've played this to the end, and that was like street cred, right? I would be like, wow, I couldn't advance past the stage in GTA. Like these guys run all through that. Like what? So that's the whole concept of pay to play. Like that's what I call it. And then you have this other concept of free to play games, where they also incorporate what I want also call pay to win. So don't get caught confused with all of this. So there's pay to play, and I explain that. Now you have free to play games. So if you've ever played something like Temple Run or Danger Dash, those games are free to play. You don't have to buy anything other than the smartphone that you already have, which has multi-function. So and maybe data, but those are not really direct costs. The game is free. However, in trying to advance in the game and go far in the game, you need to maybe buy some in-game things. So the economy around those games is the in-game purchases, and so you sort of pay so that you can perform better in the game. All right. Now, I was reading some research, and it was put out that only about 2% of gamers on such platforms want to even buy any stuff in terms of trying to win. So that's interesting. So of course you now have things like cosmetics. That's a whole new economy that have come up in the gaming space. So in games like Fortnite, people will buy skins just to improve how they look and all of that. And that is a huge space. And you see, you might be thinking, why would people spend all this money on just skins to just look nice in the game? That's the wrong question to ask. The question you should be asking is the psychology of people. So, but we're building a case here, all right? So, we've looked at the different models, some of the models, the game models that exist. Now, one thing that all these traditional games have, especially AAA games, is they're very fun to play. I remember I would sit down and play GTA from night till morning and then morning till night. It was crazy. Or you talk about FIFA, you talk about Call of Duty. Those games are super addictive, and they're some of the best titles that exist. I mean, Need for Speed. I was a junkie for Need for Speed. My goodness. So I'm a gamer. That's the long and short. I'm not just here talking about games because I see money potential. I'm a gaming person. All right. However, traditional games have a problem. Now, a lot of people argue that blockchain gaming is a solution that's looking for a problem. Like, they don't see the need. And let me say this here, like an interjection. One of the things that stops big companies from growing and gives new opportunities to startups is that very thing where companies become so big that they become stale and they don't see the next trend, they don't understand innovation, they become slow to adopting new possibilities, and as a result, they are slow to act. This is how companies like Microsoft blew up in the days of IBM. There were a lot of things that IBM was already good at, but there were many small things that IBM felt, they're not important. And companies like Microsoft came in, Oracle came in, and took advantage of those areas, and look how big they are. So that's the same thing I see here. That while some of the established brands might not see the potential and they're slow to react, startups with 2, 3 people, 5 people who are very proactive can grab the opportunity. Alright, so let's look at traditional games like I was doing. What is the challenge with traditional gaming? The major problem that traditional gaming has, at least from my perspective, I've played these games, is the lack of ownership of these assets. Of course, there have been secondary markets that have tried to sell these things, and they're sort of basically illegal because the gaming ecosystem does not support you taking anything out of that space. Everything has to be within the game. Alright? And I played some of these games, won trophies, achieved things, did a lot of wonderful things that, apart from bragging rights, it would have been nice to sell to someone else. That's just the truth. But it was never possible because traditional games do not give you the ownership of anything in the game. You can't add things to the game and you can't take things out of the game. And I think that human nature evolves. Our wants, our desires continue to transform. And refusing to understand that might be the undoing of the big boss. Now, some people have said, oh, play to earn is going to replace all the other stuff, or we're going to put a dent in the revenue. I don't think that's how I want to see it. I want to see play to earn as the next phase of gaming. And it's almost like people not seeing the potential of social media when it first came. So we see these cycles. People always just not see the value of certain things and feel that their opinion on it matters so much. Alright, so that's one of the major challenges with traditional games. And of course, ultimately, you can earn from them. All the money, 100% of it goes to the gaming ecosystems. The producers, the developers, the designers, the studios that make these games, they take all the money. Alright? So, let's look at Play to Earn. And let's take Axie Infinity as a case study. So, this game called Axie Infinity was launched in 2018, blew up in 2020. We'll look at why it blew up in a short while. But the essence of the game is you can play the game and you can earn from the game. There are different revenue models, different earning methods within the game. You can own land, you can sell NFTs, you can make SLP and sell that and all of that. I'm not going to go into Axie Infinity. We'll do a proper video on Axie Infinity because I want people to understand how to play these games, especially from my part of the world. Of course, there's been a lot of talk about the economic models not being sustainable for games like Axie Infinity. Of course, they suffered the breach, or the running blockchain that Axie is on suffered that breach. But every new space will have its challenges. The economic models can be improved, and a lot of other things can be added to make these things more sustainable. But turning it down all at once just because there are some niggles on the path, I think that's amateur. Alright, so I was making a case, the African case, and I was just taking Nigeria as a use case, but you can look at Ghana, you can look at many other African countries. And in 30 years from now, because you have to also take long term, Africa is going to be about 2 billion people. More than half of that are going to be young people, tech savvy people, all with smartphones, all with at least some form of internet access, whether it's remote areas or urban areas. So you already have a market waiting to just come on. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm saying too many big things, but I think Play to Earn can put another 100 million people from the African continent in crypto. And I can tell you one thing with the African continent, we have this leapfrogging tendency. Now, right now, Play to Earn is like, what? It sounds like fraud, it doesn't sound like it's real. But you bring this on the scene accurately and you'll be amazed. You'll be so amazed. There are a lot of stats we can go into. Now, let me introduce my company and what our vision is. So, Tiger Labs. So Tiger Labs is a company that I have set up here in Nigeria, and what we want to do is, I would say threefold or maybe more. Number one is we want to set up a guild, all right, and carry out a lot of education within crypto, within NFTs, within the whole blockchain space, so people begin to understand the opportunity that exists. And I think videos like this is already us doing that. That's why this channel exists, and we'll be holding seminars across the country as time progresses. So that's number one. Number two is we want to also make our own games. So for instance, we have this game called City Outlaws. Basically, it's just a white paper at the moment. We're looking to do an NFT launch in June, and then hopefully let that serve like a fundraiser that will help us build the game and also run the guild and all of that. So City Outlaws is a racing game. Now, I touched on something earlier where there's this argument that blockchain games are not fun. In fact, people say Axie Infinity is not fun. I don't agree, because game and fun is relative. You might not find it fun, the next person will. So that's a very relative thing. But generally, if blockchain game is going to thrive, it has to be fun. Alright, so what we want to do with Tiger Labs is that we want to create exciting games. Games that are still simple, like what the Sandbox is doing, that can run on mobile, that can run on basic devices, but still have them built such that as technology evolves, virtual reality comes, and other things begin to evolve and happen, will still be able to pivot into those areas. But right now, smartphones is what is ubiquitous. Ubiquitous. Right? It's everywhere, right? And so we can use that, right? So we're looking at building games. We have a few titles, but City Owl is the first one we want to work on. It's a racing game, and the concept is you race in sort of like an MMO world against other people that all over the world. There are racing events, you can host racing events, there are events that we create as the platform, and you have different forms of earnings. You can win like $500 for winning a race, $1,000 for winning a race. We have special events where you can win as much as $10,000 for winning a race. So you have a fun game because everybody loves racing games, but you also have a game where your skill is going to determine your outcome. And then we have all kinds of economics models built into the game. So for instance, you still need to buy nitro for your car to perform well. You can upgrade your car. You can do lots of things. So it's a blend of play to earn, pay to win, and all of that, all fixed into the game. And one of the very awesome things we want to do with City Outlaws is part of what you win are not just in-game NFTs, but NFTs from other exciting projects. So for instance, we can have an event where maybe 100 people are going to race, and the winner will get a doodles, right? So, I mean, just think about that. Or maybe a World of Women NFT. Okay, I'm calling like really blue chip NFT now, but sometimes it doesn't have to be like the big ones. It could be Project Penguins, it could be, Kaiju Kings, it could be anything that is nice and stable. So that we can really, what we're trying to do is also like connect the communities as we look towards interoperability, all right, within this space, because that's one of the things that traditional gaming doesn't have, that blockchain has the potential to do. So that's the second thing we want to do with Tiger Labs. The third thing we want to do with Tiger Labs is to grow on to build a real blockchain economy of developers, of skillful people who are going to be developing games, developing blockchain applications, building stuff from within the African continent that is relevant to the African continent and indeed the rest of the world. Of course, these games, we want them to be played globally, right? And then also pivot and begin to look into NFTs as they relate to entertainment, because the entertainment space in my country, for instance, is huge right now. So how does NFTs take music to the next level, create such creator economy, but not just creator economy, consumer economy? Because what we're looking at is the sharing economic model being taken to the next level. And what blockchain does is it allows for not just it's like picture on Uber. So now with Uber, Uber makes money, the drivers make money. But what blockchain does is it takes us to the next level where Uber makes money, the driver makes money, but the rider also makes money. Alright, so that sounds crazy, but it's very possible. It just has to be worked out. And that's what play to earn is about. The designers make money, the investors make money, the players make money. It's just, it's an economic thing, so demand and supply. So Tiger Labs, that's what we're looking to do here on the African continent. And one of the reasons we're putting out this video is to speak to people who know even more stuff than us, to come and collaborate and work together. Also, people who have the financial muscle to give us introductions, connections, and even resources. We're looking to talk to a few firms like Polygon Ventures, Solana Ventures, and Beatcraft. So if you know anybody in that space, do us a solid and say a word. But the long and short is we're going to be reaching out, all right, because the opportunity is massive. It's huge. And I can tell you, and I'm not trying to be exaggerated, but it's so easy to onboard like 500,000 people within a year plus into a guild where we're playing play to earn games. Now let me touch on something someone said, the Bright Center guy I was talking about. His criticism of guilds was that the guilds are just farming all these games and taking the liquidity out, and then you end up draining the what do you call this now? The token's value. Because again, most of these games are going to depend on the value of the token, and if it falls, that's a problem. But like we said, what we want to do, number one, is build games ourselves and get involved in exciting games. I like a project, there's a project that I saw, it's called Board Box. I was in a space, can't remember the names of the guys, but it's called Board Box. And I'm going to be following that project up because I think the kind of games that they bring on will be important for us as well because we want fun games, games that are fair, games that you don't just win because you have all the money in the world, but you need to have skill. Like take for instance City Outlaws. Even if you get the best car, if you don't know how to race and drive properly, you're still not going to win, right? So that kind of thing. So I think the solution is to have guilds that produce games and also get involved in very exciting games, educate the players on how to go about things economically, have a system that manages how money is moving in and out of these games, all right? But also introduce new economic models outside of what exists. And we have some of those. We don't want to let all the cat out of the bag, but introducing new economic models into these ecosystems, bringing traditional industries, sectors, businesses to intersect with what NFTs and play to earn, gaming, and all of this is doing. Because you see, one of the reasons that Axie Infinity is so successful is because even though it's a blockchain game and it looks like far-fetched, it was solving a real life problem. People's incomes were low and they could play this game, enjoy themselves, and make money. That sounds weird, but it's going to become normal. And it's going to become even like a profession. I mean, look at esports now. It's a real profession. So it's finding a way to blend these things that I think will be the sustainable way going forward. And that's what we're doing. That's what we have. And so we have our pitch deck, and we'd love to just put our proposals and see how that goes. But like I said, the NFTs for City Outlaws, we're looking to drop that in June, towards the end of June. So hopefully we get people to get those NFTs. Again, for me, a lot of people emphasize the tokens and the NFTs, but they don't look into the game. We want to build an economic model and a game that is fun to play and more benefits abound in playing the game than just holding the NFT or holding the tokens. Of course, there's going to be an upside for holding the NFTs, holding the tokens, but what we want is for you to enjoy the game and gain all the value and rewards that is built into the game. And then there are a bunch of other games. So there's a whole lot to talk about, but I won't do all of that in this video. I mean, when you start talking about music NFTs, and you start talking about content creation and NFTs as a whole, and then you need to break off into like other spaces, and with the African continent in mind, because